Right guys, welcome to the next episode of my kit series. Before we kick off with what we're covering in this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who got involved and liked and subscribed in the last videos. It's had a great receiving, so I really appreciate it. It's been really good. Some of the feedback and some of the conversations I've had have been really good. So I love all the tips and tricks that you guys use on your kit and bits and bobs like that. So yeah, so really grateful for that. So yeah, I really appreciate it. So thanks very much. So yeah, anyhow, so in this episode, we are going to be covering the Bergen, which I've got here. You know, your Bergen, your backpack, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's the same meat, different gravy. But this is a short back convoluted Bergen, British Army issue, which my brother-in-law kindly gifted to me when he left the army a few years ago. So I'm very, very grateful for that, because it's an absolutely wicked bit of kit and I love it. So yeah, I've got my webbing set here as well, purely as a reference guide, because there's a few bits in my belt kit which I keep in there, obviously, which I don't keep in my Bergen, and they sort of like they're modular, so they go together, sort of thing. Obviously, like my cook set, things like that. So I haven't got a secondary cook set in there; it's in my webbing. So I just wanted that for reference. So yeah, so let's get down to the nitty gritty, and we'll cover the Bergen. Right guys, so I've got it covered with a little bit of a cam net which I made up. It's just some old scrim net and some bits and bobs that I've stitched in there, a bit of old sandbag and that, just to break up the shape of it if I have to ditch it or anything like that. This also goes with my sort of recce kit when I'm using my DMR or my bolt action if and when I do get it. That's a bit further down the line though, so that's easily removable. It's just got a clip at the back here, and I'll take that off. And there's little webbing straps on the top of the bag you can tuck things into and that. So yeah, that's really very important. That's just my scrim net, so I can put that to one side, and we'll bring the Bergen in and we'll cover that. So here is the British Army shortback convoluted Bergen. It's been modified, so it's had a poncho roll pouch put onto the front. So a standard one, you wouldn't get this. You'd have a single pouch in the middle there, which is slightly bigger than this utility pouch. But again, these three utility pouches have been added on at a later date. So these have been stitched on by the camp tailor or whoever it is who's done it. Dragon Supplies do tailoring of kit. You've got JJ's of Bergen. Mission tailors on Instagram all do custom kit you can send your bags to them. They can make you pouches, all different bits and bobs. So yeah, definitely look them up there. Dragon Supplies, JJ's of Bergen, and Mission Tailors on Instagram. Mission Tailors is actually a member of a guild of different tailors. I've not used any of the other guys, so I'm not saying that they're no good or anything, because I'm sure they're fabulous, but I've only used Mission Tailors to do a couple of bits for me, so I can't really say anything else on the other ones. But he's in a guild of tailors, so if he can't do anything for you, then I'm sure the guys who he's with can certainly help you out. So yeah, definitely look up Mission Tailors on Instagram. So yeah, anyway, back to the bag. So it's got 3 utility pouches on the front. It's got the poncho roll added on the front there as well for storing my basher or poncho. It's got 2 side rocket pouches, and then it's got the main compartment, and it's got storage in the top there in the lid. What I've had added to this as well is I've bought from, I believe it's from Kit Monster. They do these additional PLCE clips. So basically they go through the webbing loops on the front top cover of the bag to, they give you a tiny little bit more wiggle room for putting extra kit in there. But what also they do is if these break, then you can always resort back to the original clips that hold the bag lid shut. So these are pretty much brand new, because I've never, I believe my brother-in-law never really used these, nor have I. So you can replace these quite easily. They simply just undo and they'll pop off, and you can remove them like that. A little bit of Velcro, and that is that clip then removed. Oh, it's caught there. That just comes out of there like that. So that's what you'll get. You can order a couple of these. I think they're PLCE webbing clips or something like that. They're on Kit Gremlin or Kit Monster, one of the two. But yeah, they're a great addition, because obviously then it keeps that from perishing and getting overused and breaking, because obviously that's stitched into the bag, so you'd have to get that restitched if it broke or the webbing broke. Whereas this, you can just replace it. I think they're between sort of like £6 and £10 for a set of 2, I believe. So yeah, definitely worth purchasing them. You might even be able to use them on other bags that have got a similar buckle setup, which are always good. I'll just pop that back in there, because knowing me, I'll end up losing it. So that just goes in there like that, and then you've got 2 press studs there, which are very tight. There we go, and that just keeps the bag there. So yeah, so anyway, back to the bag. So yeah, short back convoluted Bergen. What I have done with the back of it, again, very simple. A lot of people have these actually tailored with Fedora webbing or material and extra padding in there. All I've literally done is from a rifle that I got, the foam liner from the box. I've literally cut that and doubled it up, and then sniper taped it around the shoulder straps just for added support and padding, and obviously just scapper tape or sniper tape that in place, and that's lasted me for a good few years, and it adds that little bit of extra softness and padding there, and it makes the shoulder straps wider, so it spreads the weight across your shoulders more, so it's a lot more comfortable. You can go down the road and get it done professionally, but you know what I'm like for my upcycling and doing things on the cheap. So yeah, that's what I've done there, and it's worked out really well. So yeah, I've had no problems with it at all. Probably at some point I'll have to renew the tape maybe, but like I said, it's lasted well so far. So yeah, no dramas at all there. It comes with a hip belt, which I don't really use because I wear my webbing, so that usually just gets tucked out the way, or you can tuck it behind here. So that sits out the way there. It does get a little bit hot on your back. Obviously it's not like a modern bag which have got like a skeletal bit on the inside to keep that airflow around the back, between your back and your bag. But again, it's just something you'll just have to poke up with, unfortunately. You know, for the amount of time I use it in a Milsim or for wild camping or something like that, it's not on my back for a great deal of time. You know, I'm not tabbing for hours or yomping for hours or anything like that, or going on some crazy long trek with it on my back. It's potentially up to like a couple of kilometers or a mile perhaps, and then it's getting ditched, so it's, you know, it's something you'll just have to poke up with. But yeah, it's a great bag. It is nice and comfortable. Obviously the heavier you load it, the more uncomfortable it will get, as with any bag. You know, I've used quite a few. I've used the Caramore SF Bergen, and again, yeah, lovely, nice and padded, more airflow around the back, but after a while they do start to get heavy and hang off you a little bit because of the kit you're carrying. So but yeah, so that's basically an overview of the bag. There's not really a great deal to the outside of it. Incredibly strong. I do treat this every year with some Fab Seal, so I pack it out, give it a good spray over, let it dry off, just to help with some water retention, just to some water replenishing, water repellent, sorry, of the bag, and just trying to keep the kit nice. So everything goes in dry bags anyhow. So let's get down to the nitty gritty now of what I pack and how I sort of pack it. Right guys, so contents of the bag. We'll do all the outer pockets first, and then we'll get into the main pack area. So I just want to cover quickly, on here I've got one of them little cheeky everlasting chem lights, just for PID in my kit at night time. It gives off a very small glow, and if need be I can take it off. It's just like a tiny little carabiner there, but it just identifies my bag. If and when it's like pitch dark and I need to locate it, it's just there. I've got the same sort of thing set up on my webbing as well on the back there. So yeah, that's just a nice little addition. So we'll start from the top here. So in the top, very top cover of my bag is my Gore-Tex waterproof jacket, which I pack in. So I've got the hood out first, so when I pull the jacket out, it's not all scrunched up and out, I can get it put on quickly. So that's in the top of the bag, is my waterproof Gore-Tex jacket. Just stick that down there, and that is literally it. That's all that goes in the top there, just something you can grab to quickly. And I've got a little tip with them: go a couple of sizes bigger, because it's good to be able to chuck it on over the top of your webbing, or chuck it on so you can, you know, you've got plenty of space in there, plenty of wiggle room to move about with. You know, if you get something that's really tight and constrictive, you know, you can tend to sweat in it a bit more. I find with that being a couple of sizes bigger, you get the old airflow around you a bit more, and that's just a little bit better to use. And you can put it on over stuff and then take it off loose. You can leave it unzipped at the front if need be. If you've got a plate carrier on, it's just an added bit of cover, that's all. So yeah, I'd certainly go 1 or 2 sizes bigger with your Gore-Tex jacket. Just a little tip for me. You might not want to, but you know, that's what I do, and it works well for me. So that's the top bit done. We'll do down the front, and then we'll do the rocket pouches on the side here. So I'll have to unclip this. So this is the basher pouch or poncho roll, whatever you want to call it. So in here I've got basically my shelter system, which is my MTP basher, with my jungle knots all attached to all the eyelets, for easy to set it up and string it out. And that goes in like a little grab bag. Reason being is that sort of like the newer bashers, they've got like a waterproof coating, which is great, but they make them incredibly slippery to pack away. Like you can roll it up and it will just go on you. It's really odd. But again, they're great bits of kit. So I find by just getting it stuffed into this, and then that goes into there a lot quicker than having trying to roll it up and then trying to put that in there and zip it up, and it just slips and slides in your hands, almost like it's got oil on it or some sort of material. But yeah, that's my MTP basher. I mean, it is basically just a tarp, like a 2.1 by 2.3 tarp. There it is there, with my all jungle nuts and that attached to it. So that's in there in that little stuff sack. Stuff sack's not waterproof, it's just purely just for containing the basher, and that goes inside here. Along with that, I've got a little haunch of paracord, and I've got some slightly smaller comms cord in this little glasses case, because what I've done is I've used comms cord as my jungle knots, because it's a bit thinner, it's incredibly strong, and I got that from Dragon Supplies. So if you look up, you can get it doesn't perish, it's oil resistant, really good stuff, and I use that for my jungle knots to string them out. So that's that. I've got 6 pegs in my bag here. These are nice heavy duty ones, made by NGT. I got them on eBay. I think you can get like 20 for like 13 quid. These are really good. They've got the spiked end and they've got the threaded bar on them, so you can wind it into sort of like heavy stony ground. And they've obviously got the T-handle at the top for extraction and helping you to put them in as well. So yeah, they're great. So I've got 6 of them there just to go with my setup. And that, oh yeah, and obviously in there is my toilet shovel, which is basically just a very small entrenching tool. Again, I just keep it handy, and that's purely, its job is for digging that special little hole that you need if you're out in the woods. And that is basically that. So that goes in a little pouch there, along with my kit. It doesn't really need to be kept waterproof or anything. So that's that there. So basically it's my shelter system, with all the gubbins that I need for putting up my shelter or adding any additional bits and bobs with the extra paracord, and then of course my toilet shovel, if you like. So that is the poncho roll covered. We'll move down now. I'm just going to move the bag ever so slightly to the side just so I can get to it. There we go. So we'll move down now to the first of the 3 utility pouches. Very important, water. So I carry 2 water bottles. So that's another 2 litres of water in my Bergen, which I carry, along with the 2 water bottles which I carry in my webbing. So I've got 4 litres of water on me. So that should be more than enough before we get a replenishment from a vehicle, or if we've got harbour area or a fixed fob. But we've got some jerry cans of water out that we can use, and obviously one of these comes with a cheeky little plastic cup just for any other drinks I want to make, any brews. And what I have got in here, depending on what sort of event it is, I've got my cook set in there. Normally what I would carry is 3 water bottles, so I'd have 5 litres of water on me. But what I had brought is my, just to show it off really, is my my Highlander jet boil, if you like, in a dry bag. And this, I only ever use this really is if we're in like a fixed fob, where there's no need for me to be having to pack this up quickly or anything like that, and I'm going to get set up, and when we get back there you can have you've got like proper downtime. So this is like a bit of a luxury to bring along, and it's basically, it's the same as a jet boil. I believe it's the Highlander, I can't remember, it's like Whirlwind or something like that it's called. Something very similar. It does exactly the same as a jet boil. All the contents there. So I've got my gas cylinder, I've got a couple of sachets of coffee. Always wrap a little bit of tape around the cylinder to stop it scratching the inside of the cup, or you can put it inside a sock. That's always a nice little tip from courtesy of Call Sign Fresh Meat, or Mr. Wayne Rapson gave me the little tip with the sock, so that's always good. Yeah, basic cook set. You know, it is what it is. So that's that comes with me for if I'm at say like I do a Longmore event where we're going to be inside an actual main fixed fob. That's always good. But if I'm out in the woodland, I would just be using my hexi burner because I just like it. So I'll leave that there. So that's the 3 utility pouches on the front. Like I said, again, that will either be 3 water bottles or 2 water bottles and my sort of like hardcover cook set, the jet boil or the hurricane burner. And that's the 3 utility pouches covered. So what we'll do now is we go into the first of the 2 rocket pouches. So on this side here, let's get that open now. I've got sort of like I suppose you call it like maybe like an ops kit sort of thing. So one thing I have got in inside here is my power bank and a couple of spare leads, purely for charging my phone. I mean, I do ensure that my phone's charged up before I attend an event, and it's kept like, I keep the Bluetooth turned off, keep the screen brightness turned down just to save on the battery. Some events do require you to use your phone. You might have to put some information into a WhatsApp group, or take regular pictures or some video footage or something like that. So you can chew through your battery a little bit if you do use it a lot. So it's always handy to have a power bank with a phone charging lead, and maybe a couple of additional leads for any other kit that you might use, like a rechargeable head torch, for example. So always good to have a power bank on you if required. I mean, if it's only like a one-dayer, then you could probably get away with it. But you know, it doesn't take up a great deal of room, and it is a nice additional. So this is a lithium battery capacity. This is a 26,800 milliamp hour power bank, and again I've got a couple of like heavy duty iPhone charging leads and stuff like that in there. So yeah, more than enough to get a couple of 3 charges out of your phone, or perhaps charging up a tracer unit or a head torch, like I said. So yeah, always handy to have. In here, in this part of my kit, I've got my my weapon batteries. Always carry these in a battery safe bag. So I always charge my batteries at home in this. So when they're on charge, they're inside this bag, and then when I'm transporting them to and from a game, they are always in this bag as well, because it's a fireproof LiPo safety rated bag, just to keep them safe. Anything was to happen, you know, I'm guessing there'll be an element of there's only so much it can save, but you know, it's best to be safe than sorry. So yeah, always keep them in a LiPo safe bag when you're charging and when you're transporting, especially. Moving down further, I've got that there to move. So in here I've got my speed loaders. So I've got one for my heavy BBs for my DMR. I've got one for my 2.8s for my M4, which is just a there's a speed loader there, which has seen better days, I must admit. And then just an empty one there, just to show you what that goes in that kit. And again, in a little grab bag, so I know where it is. So that is that there. Last but not least, so with regard to an ops kit or any additional kit that I might need to take for a specific event, so in here, which goes along with the cover of my bag, I've got my crafted boonie for my sort of like my recce loadout, which I've trimmed the brim down a little bit, because you can get these jungle hats, but the brim can be quite big on them. So I've trimmed about 15-20 mil off of it, and then added some scrim net and some sort of sandbag stuff, some bit of old kit. This actually here, this actual top bit, a very good friend of mine gave me this, and this was his scrim that he made when he was in the Royal Marines. So this has actually been to like Afghan and things like that, and on many training exercises with him. So there's a nice little story, a nice little bit of history behind that. I love that sort of thing. And there's a nice little touch from him to give it to me. You know, I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, lovely, love that. That's all good. So that's the hat, and then obviously in here I've got my my rust camo crafted ghillie cape hood, top half, 3/4 top half. So that's basically it there. Just your arms, literally, it comes to about there, goes around the back. Yeah, I love that, works very well, especially in the woodland I'm in now. I've actually crafted that whilst I've been over here, so going into the summer months as well, so hopefully that'll come into its own. So that's my that's sort of like my recce setup. I might chuck the old bag cover as well with that, just to keep it all together. And then going into there, down in here, we have got, again with my recce setup, little folding saw, and some pruners, purely if you've got to cut in a hide into like some brambles, which I have done at a recent event at Op Machiavellum with Defiant. We had to cut into a huge sort of like briar patch bramble bush, literally just hollowing it out basically for 4 guys to get into, and put an OP in on the enemy position, and sort of like observe the enemy with all our kit and that in there. So that took a few hours to do that on your belt buckle sort of thing, just pruning bits away and passing it back to the next man and clearing it all out. So yeah, it was good fun. It was a fantastic event. But yeah, that's always very handy to have, little folding saw. And if you can have a campfire, maybe if it's a slightly less strict event, you know, you can have a campfire at your fob or something like that. You've got a little folding saw there to get any logs going, or branches and things like that. And then on top of that, and I thought I'd never see the day that I did it, but I did get one of these little kneeling mats that my great friend Mike, who also does our November Foxtrot podcast with me, along with Andy, he's got one of these, and I took the mickey out of him. And then I saw one on sale in Millets, and then I thought, do you know what, I'm going to buy it, and it's actually really, really good. So that does actually come out in my other bag when I take the dog for a walk or anything. You just want a little sit down, just a little fold out mat. You know, it's cool. It's a cool little bit of kit. You know, especially for now. I've got knee pads built into my trousers, but for that very reason, if you're cooking up, just put that little mat down. It's just a tiny little element of comfort. You know, it's always handy, always good bit of stuff. So that can go just down there, and that's the first of the 2 rocket pouches empty. Now moving across to the other side, this is all sort of like more like additional rations, brew kit, hygiene, stuff like that. I'll keep that on this side here. So that's all like the ops kit, like the dirty stuff, if you like the speed loader and things, bits and bobs like that. So first pouch at the top here is like a little welfare kit for me. It's got which is going to be sooner rather than later, a bit of deep cream for the old mozzies. I've got some Nurofen pain relief gel for any strains or anything like that. And on the back here, I've got just some hand sanitizer, bit of lip balm, toothpaste, toothbrush, a little bit of electrical tape, and I've got some spare bootlaces as well, because they're always handy to have. So I've got a spare set of bootlaces in there and a chem light on the front, purely because this little pouch on the front, you can fit a chem light in. So I'll put one in there. So that's that. That's a little welfare kit for me. Spare pair. Next in this pouch here is a spare set of iPro revision sawflies. Love them. I've got a few sets of these now. With my little fog off cleaning kit with a put on and take off cloth. I've got some spare lenses in there. I've got the orange clear and the smoked lenses, as well as the set that I'll be wearing. So I've got 2 frames and sort of 4 lenses to go to. So hopefully I don't get shot that much in the face, but I would require more than that. So yeah, spare set of iPro is a must. Going down again, along with the poo shovel, toilet paper, again kept in a nice dry bag. And what I do is I get a toilet roll and basically just remove the cardboard, and it goes nice and flat. And I keep a couple of packs of tissues from the old ration packs in there as well, just as a super duper emergency ones if that curry pouch of curry and the Tabasco sauce has been a little bit too hot. An additional paper may be required. So yeah, that's another part of the welfare kit. Going down again, what I said there with my welfare kit there, just some chem lights, both IR and illumination chem lights, varying colours, purely for marking, especially for urban events, you know, marking buildings that have been cleared or not been cleared, or marking any guy lines in your harbour area if you need to, for trip hazards, stuff like that. So yeah, they're always handy to have. Going down again, I've actually put that in the wrong pouch. That should be over in this one. This is my rifle toolkit. Again, just in a various Allen keys, a pair of side cutters, spanner, stuff like, you know, the usual stuff. I don't need to tell you guys about that because you've all got rifles and stuff for airsoft, and you'll know your toolkit. Cleaning rod, and I've got some microfiber cloth in there as well, cut into little squares for cleaning out rifle barrels as and when needed. And then last but not least, I've got one main dry sack which has got my additional rations in. So not only would I keep a meal in my belt kit, but I've also got additional bits and bobs in here, like brew kit, you know, extra snacky bits, some extra fuel, all those sort of good bits and bobs that I don't require to carry on me at all times. You know, again, this bag's going to be dumped off at the harbour area or the fob, so you know, inside that I've got some my brew kit with extra coffees in there, some nice Colombian fresh ground coffee in bags, which are fantastic. That's made by What Coffee UK. Really delicious. You can get these in varying places. All kept inside this little gash bag here. Couple of extra blocks of fuel gels. Again, you know, the Fire Dragon, great stuff. Works really well. And the consumables kit, you know, some chili sauce, stuff like that, some seasoning, and that all just goes in there. And that's sort of like my brew kit, seasoning kit, if you like, and some spare fuel blocks. So that's that. Underneath that, then I've got my main, again in another gash bag, some main snacks, a couple of more main meals, bit of hot dog pepper sauce, biscuits brown, spare spork, you know, bits and bobs like that. It's just basically, yeah, the remainder of my rations from my that's required. A couple of loose tea bags in there in the bottom. So that goes in there, all inside a dry bag, obviously. And that's the 2 rocket pouches done. So that's pretty much the outside of it, guys. I don't think I've missed anything. There's nothing on the bottom of the bag. There's some webbing straps if you needed to put a roll mat or something like that on the underside, or a tent system perhaps, you can put it on the underside. But as I run this on top of my webbing, I keep the bottom of the bag clear, just so that the bottom of the bag can just sit nicely on top of the pouches there. So yeah, what we'll do now is we'll come back and we'll do the internal part of the main pack itself. So yeah, all good. Right guys, down to the main pack of the bag now. So the main contents area of the bag. So yeah, put the lid up. Obviously it's got a snow flap or storm flap in the top here. Couple of pull cords here just for cinching in the bag at the top. This is pretty loaded, so you know, it doesn't get cinched in very much. But yeah, so let's get into it. So in the top of the bag here, first and foremost, I've got my day sack. So this is the Camelback mother load, which gets cinched up and goes into my Bergen. What I have done is I've removed the spine on the inside of the internal panel, purely for packability, so I can scrunch it down nice and small. This does come with like a hard molded panel which goes into the bag, which I do remove. I don't use it the way I pack the bag and that, so it stays nice and comfortable on my back still. Great bag, great comfortable bag. Nice padding on the back here for support, a bit of airflow and stuff like that. So that goes nicely with my webbing over the top of that. And I pack some of these bits and bobs which I've got in my Bergen, goes into my day sack as and when required, like sort of like my like recce kit if you like. Any additional bits and bobs, and I've got this capability of carrying more gear if I need to. So yeah, that's the day sack, which is obviously at the top of the bag in case we need to, as soon as we get to our fob or anything and we're going out straight away, I can just grab that at the top, load up what I need, and it's on the back and I'm ready to go. Next from that, I'll start with this one. This is my Infantry. If any of you that watch the show, you'll know that I struggle to say German infantry. There we go. Half ground sheet, ripstop, fantastic, not overly expensive. Yeah, just a brilliant bit of kit. So that goes with me as part of my sort of sleep system, just to keep me out the dirt a little bit. So that's basically the ground sheet. That goes there. I don't need to put it in a dry sack or anything, because it is just the ground sheet, so that can sit on the outside of it. Next, after that, I've got my sleep mat, which is what I've sort of constructed myself. I have tried many different ones, and this is one that I've hodgepodged together. It's not the most camouflage in the world, as you can quite imagine, but this does go inside my bivvy bag, so you're not going to really see it. But what it is, it's a basic foam mat which has got mylar covering on the other side of this. So this is like the underside, and then what I've done is I've actually added a secondary mylar sheet over the top, and I've left the other end open, so there's that air void in the middle. And I have tried this in a cold climate event, and it has been so warm. It's been really good, and you know, the only thing that can happen to it is it can rip, which isn't the end of the world, I suppose. You know, it's not overly expensive to construct one of these. I believe the blue mat itself was about £9.99. The sheet, again, you're probably looking at about 20 quid to make this if you wanted to. You know, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I can appreciate that, but it works well for me, and I've tried a fair few different ones. You know, like roll mats, self-inflating mats, and airbed sort of type mattresses. They're all good, they're all great, they're all comfortable, but then it's the speed of blowing it up, letting the air out, packing it away, things like that, which you've got to sort of like weigh up the balances of the pros and cons. Now, I do have a Dutch Army Thermarest sleep pad, self-inflating sleep pad, so it's got the 3.5 or 5 mil foam internal, and you can add additional air to it as well with a valve. Super comfortable, super warm, super insulated. And on that being said, if you are looking at getting a sleep mat or sleep pad and you do want an inflatable type one, I would really recommend the self-inflating rather than ones that are just purely reliant on air, because as soon as that gets a hole in it, it's game over. Then obviously you can patch it up and repair it and that, but are you going to be able to have the time to do that at an event, or if you're out and about, perhaps not? I mean, they're great for family camping and things like that. If you're on a camp bed and you put an air bed on top of it, they're great. But if you're out in the sort of the field and you've got things like this in the ground to contend with, I mean, if that goes into that, it doesn't really matter, because it's not reliant on air inflation or anything like that to keep it working. So yeah, I'd definitely go with a self-inflating mat that's got the foam internal. So if it does burst or it gets a tear in it, you've still got that foam pad in there as well as a secondary to use. So yeah, I highly recommend that. So that's my sleep pad. That can just go just there. And then down further than that, I've got a main pack liner, a Bergen bag liner, which is basically like one of these, but just on a much grander scale. And we'll crack into that now. Obviously this all gets cinched down, get as much air of it out as you can. And then first in there is my sleeping bag inside the bivvy bag. So I'll get all that out there. And I will do a little demo. So you can see it's all cinched up like this. And what I do is to pack it, obviously inside here is my bivvy bag, which you saw in the previous video, which I set up as my little secondary shelter if I needed to. So that's it, my sleeping bag is actually inside here now. So what I do, when I want to pack it away, is I make sure that I've got the base end of my bivvy bag, and I've got the base, the foot end, if you like, of my sleeping bag, and I grab it at the end like that. And the idea is what you do is you spin it like a lasso, and it pushes all the air out of it, it makes it into like a tight sausage sort of type thing, and then you can stuff it down into the bag. Basically just gets all the air out of it. And with the bivvy bag being so oversized, by the time you've got to the top end here, you've got the huge sort of like the head flap bit, which you can then sort of fold over and tuck it down. So if you do get any rain in there, it's going to hit this rather than the actual bag inside. So your sleeping bag is always going to remain dry. So that's basically that. That's my sleeping bag and bivvy bag. So that can go over there. underneath that now, I've got varying little kits. Again, all in dry bags, so it's really important to keep it all in dry bags. Is it a little bit excessive for like an AIRSOFT Milsim event? You know, I don't think so myself. You know, it's easy to grab. You know, it's not all loose bits and bobs just in the bottom of the bag that you've got to dive into and try and find, especially at night time or using red light. So first kit bag is my foot kit. So in here I've got bits related to your feet, funny enough. So let's get this open. And what I've got in here is I've got some spare socks. And on top of that, I've got spare sealskin socks. Now, I've done a video on using sealskin socks. I don't wear them 24/7. Some people do. I find they make my feet wringing wet with sweat. I have been reliably informed by my brother-in-law, who's done 14 years, I think he did in total, as in the Princess of Wales Royal Regiment. He demobbed as an instructor. And with regards to the sealskin socks, like you see in my video that I did on it, is if your boots get fully submerged and they're soaking wet on the inside as well as obviously the outside, boots off. Next bit on here, get your feet dry. So, you know, I've got a little towel in here, just a little towel, which I think I got free with the Angling Times when I was about 14 years old. So that's my little fishing towel. Which I've had for many years, so that's yeah, a little bit nostalgic. Some foot powder, so you get your feet dry pair of socks on, sealskin socks over the top of these normal socks, and then you put your boots back on. Now what the idea is behind these is that these socks here, they absorb the moisture out of the boot into the outer of the sock, so they don't penetrate the internal bit of the sock. Probably 2 pairs of these you'd want. I've got another pair in there in my winter kit. This is basically set up for a winter event, if you like, because I've got additional stuff in there. Just want to show you what's packable inside a Bergen. So yeah, basically these will draw the moisture out of the inside of the boot into the sock, but not penetrating to get these ones wet as well. So once you've done that and you're back at the fob or back at your harbour area or wherever it may be, you can then change these out again for another pair of sealskins and then dry these out. And then hopefully by the time sort of 12-14 hours have passed, you've absorbed nearly all the moisture out of the boot, and it's then sort of dry again, if you like. And obviously I do keep a little gash bag in there for the wet socks to go into, and the towel, and then it can go back inside the bag here just to keep it all nice and dry and clean. That's the main thing. So that's like my little foot care kit, which goes in my Bergen. And again, I can chuck that into my day kit if I need to, in my day sack if I'm going out for a fair few hours. Winter events, things like that, you know, lots of puddles, lots of lime water everywhere. You know, there's always the chance there that you're going to get submerged in water up to above your shin, sort of thing. So it's always handy to have that. Moving down again, I've got the good old faithful, again in a dry bag, the old softy jacket, which literally comes everywhere with me, because even at summer events, you know, that first part of the morning or very late at night, early hours, you can get a chill. You've got a clear sky, you know, the temperature can drop. So yeah, the good old-fashioned sock. I mean, this is absolutely battered now. I've repaired it with sniper tape in various positions and points. This is the old version. You know, I think the new one is like the buffalo jacket now. It's like a 3/4 with like a little mat pocket across the front. I've not tried them, so I can't comment on whether they're any good or not. But I love this. This is a great little warm weather jacket. Yeah, it is what it is. So that's my softy jacket. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to stick that just in here. The dry bag underneath it. So that's the softy jacket. Again, a little element, an extra additional layer. And under here, I've got my sort of like my winter kit. Like I said, I did set this up as like a winter loadout, and I can remove bits and bobs as and when the sort of seasons change. You know, for obviously, I wouldn't have that massive sleeping bag for a summer event. I'd use my jungle blanket or a whoopee or something like that, because it just wouldn't be required. And in here, again, it's in a dry bag. I've got like a warm weather head cover, cold weather head cover. So I've got a little woolen hat, little beanie hat, that goes in there. I've got some hand warmers and foot warmers. This is like a little winter kit. I've got some spare warm gloves. I've got my shamag to go around my neck or head cover. I've got some long johns, because the only place I really do feel the cold is like the tops of my thighs, so I always make sure I've got these. Even at night time, if we have got downtime, we can get our heads down for a bit. You know, just ditch the combat trousers, chuck me long johns on if needed, depending on how cold it is. And then on top of that as well, I've also got a norgie. So again, another layer for cold weather if needed. And these are very inexpensive. You know, probably sort of anywhere between sort of £5 and £9.99. eBay, any surplus store, any army surplus store, or any sort of like a military boot sale, military fairs, you can pick these up at. You know, they're quite old bits of kit now. They probably are more modern synthetic replacements for these that are probably smaller, but you know, again, I like it, I've got it, so I don't see why there's any reason for me to get anything different. You know, it's a good bit of kit, and again, like I said, always in a dry bag. And I believe that is the internal part of my Bergen complete. So that is the bag covered, guys. So that is all my kit that I would take on an event. Again, I've got my webbing set there. That's got my primary cook set in there. You know, my hexamine burner or my Crusader cup set. Things that I haven't shown that are with the kit. Obviously, my first aid kit. Again, that's in my webbing set. Comms and stuff. Again, it's on my webbing. Ammunition and stuff like that. That all goes in there, and I've got my spare speed loaders there. So that is basically the kit in its entirety. This is what I take for a Milsim airsoft event. Yeah, I can't think of anything else I need to cover. That is the bag, that's its contents. Yeah, all good. Right guys, just so some closing remarks then on the kit you've seen me go through today. So we can start, obviously, my sort of recce kit, any camouflage bits and bobs I need, you know, my pruners, my folding saw, speed loaders, toolkit, cleaning rod, batteries in the battery safe bag, power bank, my shelter system, the basher, pegs, spare paracord, toilet shovel, German infantry or armed infantry's half ground sheet, my sleep mat, my DOS bag or sleeping bag inside my bivvy bag, you know, my day sack, additional rations and fuel gel, spare eye protection, very important, chem lights, toilet paper, additional water bottles, my Highlander Hurricane cook set as and when needed, foot care kit, cold weather kit, you know, my Norgi top, my Shemag beanie hat, spare gloves, obviously my webbing set, which we covered in a previous episode, my Gore-Tex jacket, all the additional stuff sacks and dry bags which I use, and obviously the main Bergen itself. There's one thing I didn't show you, which I put into my kit lastminute.com because I completely forgot about it, and it goes along with my softy jacket and also my sleep system. Now this is an old, very old, as you can see by the state of it, little travel pillowcase, but the inside had all gone like lumped together. It was awful. But what I do with it is when I get my head down at night, for that little added bit of luxury, is I can just put the softy jacket inside it, and this just creates me a little pillow as and when. I do normally use my webbing set, and I can even like scrunch up my smock jacket behind it. But like I said, if we are in a sort of fixed position, you know, just found that out like that, and I've got a perfectly serviceable little pillow. Again, you know, with me with my dual purpose stuff, so not only have I got a cold weather jacket in there, but it also doubles as a handy little pillow with a very small cover which scrunches up nice and small. You know, there's no weight to it at all, you barely know it's there. So this actually should be in the foot end of my sleeping bag, this little pillowcase, but I've got to put it in there, so yeah, failings on me. So that's, what's that, 2 now, isn't it? I've got to put the toolkit on that side, and I've got to put that in my DOS bag, so yeah, smack for me. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to mention that, and that little additional bit of comfort, again, to go inside, obviously, with a little micro kneeling pad. Mike's mat, I'm going to call that Mike's mat, because he recommended it to me. So there we go. That's a softer jacket. And also, one other little thing is just a mosquito net head cover. Again, if I'm sleeping in a hammock at night time, you don't want to use a full mozzie net, you can literally just pop that on. It's very, very light. Even with a peaked cap on, cinch it up at the bottom there like that, and there you go, you've got a mosquito cover. So yeah, do recommend one of these. If you haven't got like a full mozzie net to go over your hammock system or your basher setup or whatever it is you've got, you just want to keep them bugs off your face, yeah, highly recommend that. Again, they cinch down nice and small. This did have a little stuff sack with it, but I've misplaced it because I'm terrible at admin sometimes. But that just scrunches down nice and small. You know, you could probably put it in your pillowcase as a little backup. And that was just, yeah, that was just the 2 things I wanted to mention, which I forgot to mention in the video earlier on. So yeah, wanted to make sure that I covered them. Again, important bits of kit. But yeah, that's essentially all of it, guys. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Right guys, that's the Bergen video loadout completed. All the kit's back in the truck. I'm ready to go home. Dog's tired. He managed to find himself a deer bone, so he's had a little bit of a gnaw on that, so he's well impressed with himself, the hunter-gatherer that he is. Thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate the feedback, like I mentioned at the start of the video, from the previous couple of videos I've done. All the feedback and comments I've got from you guys has been brilliant. You know, I love getting involved with conversations and stuff, and you've certainly given me some ideas and things to think about, so I really appreciate that. There's lots more in the pipeline. Lots more kit videos coming up. I'm going to do some overnighters over here soon in this lovely woodland. You know, I'm very lucky to be able to use it, so yeah, very grateful for that. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed it. You know, again, I really appreciate it. And obviously don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the podcast that I do, November Foxtrot. It's the big orange fox head as the symbol, along with two great guys, Mike and Andy. We're live every Wednesday at 8 PM UK time on Facebook and YouTube. Covering all different topics regarding airsoft, Milsim, kit and things like that. We do go off on little tangents now and again, so I'll apologise in advance. But it's all good fun, you know, there's no egos or anything like that. So it's all just a good laugh, and we get some great audience members getting involved. A few oddballs, but it wouldn't be the same without them. So I'm not going to mention who they are. They know who they are. But yeah, until the next video, guys, I'll see you soon. And yeah, again, thanks for watching.